Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Once again, I'm Nev from Nev Stackbits, otherwise known as your friendly neighborhood basement dweller. Don't worry, ma'am, I am from the internet. Intel shares drop after Trump calls for CEO to resign immediately. Now, this is really curious because Intel's been having a lot of issues recently. They've been having a lot of issues with their, I believe it was 12th and 13th generation chips dying on their own just from being used, burning out on their own, as it were, which is a horrible, terrible thing. I have one myself, and it's still working for me. I hope it keeps going on that way. I hope it keeps being on the up and up. Anyways, here is the new CEO. I believe the old CEO stepped down because of that issue that Intel was having. Intel shares slipped Thursday after President Donald Trump called for chipmaker CEO to resign immediately. In Truth Social post, Donald Trump said Intel chief executive Lu Bu Tang is highly conflicted and must resign immediately. There is no other solution to this problem. Intel dropped the premarket on the back of that post, lowering by 5%. That's not really a lot. Intel did not immediately respond to requests for comment, and Chan was named CEO in March as the chipmaker tried to rebound from declining sales under the stewardship of Pat Gelsinger. This week's Senator Tom Cotton questioned Chang's ties to the Chinese companies, referencing a past criminal case involving Cadence Design, where Tan was CEO in 2021. Oh, wow, that stock ain't doing well at all. 2023. Boom. Yeah, those bad chips definitely brought him down. Another problem that Intel is working on is semiconductors for ultra small chips. Basically, it's difficult to make semiconductors any smaller. It's difficult to make chips any smaller because after you get to a certain size, they stop working reliably with electricity because electricity at that subatomic level, basically, is no longer predictable. It's the electricity they can't predict, which is really strange. Intel is required to be a responsible steward of American taxpayer dollars in the company with applicable security regulations, Cotton wrote. Mr. Tan's association raised questions about Intel's ability to fulfill these obligations. Cotton asked whether the company required Tan to divest of positions in chip makers, including the Chinese Communication or Communist Party, the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, the People's Libertarian Army, and other concerning entities in China. So if you're not Chinese and you don't know this, but if you're Chinese, you're part of the government. You're part of the Communist Party. If you operate within China, you operate for China. And I'm not being racist. I'm not trying to cast shade. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Anyways, Intel beat earnings expectations when it's reported financials for the second quarter in July, but announced several spending cuts. I wonder if that means firing employees. In a memo, Tan announced cuts to the company's cost foundry division, which makes chips for other companies, and had an operating loss of $3.7 billion. The company canceled planned fabrication projects in Germany, Poland, and considered testing and assembling operations in Vietnam and Malaysia. Tan also said Intel will slow construction on a chip factory in Idaho. So yeah, Intel's not looking too good right now. And I'm wondering why they would say that America's money is going to Intel. What do they have? Are they on some kind of corporate welfare or something like that? You'd hope that Intel wouldn't. Out of any chip, out of any manufacturer, you'd think that Intel would be beyond that, and you wouldn't think that they would be bothered by that kind of thing, but they seem to be. What? Intel is receiving significant U.S. taxpayer support, primarily led through the CHIPS and Science Act, and at revitalizing the U.S. semiconductor industry. Okay, so they are. Biden administration announced preliminary deal. Okay. I bet one thing they want to do is keep manufacturing over in the US and not move it all over to China, because China's really well known for taking intellectual property. Let the chips fall where they may. Sounds to me like it's more stock market manipulation by the US corruption government regime. It seems like Trump thinks that our country is its own corporation and all companies within the US run via its puppet CEOs. So sad to see such a democracy in place. Man, it's interesting how much dissidence we got going on against the government of the USA these days. It's interesting to see how Canadians think that all Americans are on the side of Donald Trump. And I really think that we have so much working against us. There's so much fighting within people that I think that we're almost going back to the 60s with how much drama is going on. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. What are your thoughts on this? Like and subscribe if you like this stuff. As always, take care of each other, folks.